Good morning. You get to hear all of the instruments today. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We strive to be a congregation of compassion and justice, rooted in many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Believers in God and mystery, nature and love, queer and trans folks, immigrants and refugees, all of who we are and who we are becoming are held here as sacred. Welcome to visitors and newcomers and those online as well. We're glad you're here. After service, you can join us down in the Commons for refreshments and conversation, information there about signups or events. There's a preschool playroom open just past the lobby for kids, and there's activities for kids following the Time for All Ages. Today's for kids up through second grade are invited to go for activities, and they'll return for our flower communion ritual at the end. Each month, our offering goes out our doors to justice work, and May is for Med City Refuge, providing trans healthcare support in our community. But once a month, we hold a collection for in-house needs. And today's offering will go to support our Human Needs Fund, which provides critical financial support for members and friends. This fund needs replenishing in this time of many needs, so you can give as the plates pass or anytime online. Thank you for your generosity. And this Wednesday, join us for our last Tupper Supper of the year. Breakfast for dinner is at 5:30, followed by choir and child care and fellowship. And we'll have guest Pastor Anna Wilson from Med City Refuge, our justice partner this month, to speak about their work for trans healthcare and support this Wednesday. Oh, it changed to pizza, sorry. Very good. So quick update. Wednesday's supper is pizza for dinner. So join us this Wednesday night. Thanks, Cynthia. And for this summer, you can sign up to host casual patio parties here at the church or at your own home. Bring your own drinks and snack event to connect in community. You can sign up in the Commons for those. And this is the last week to submit names for our new location's road name. There is a display downstairs anyone can submit, and we have updates each week of the names submitted. We'll finalize a list in June and vote in July for this new road at our new location, which will end in place. So you can still submit your creative names today. And on the back of your order of service, you can see the schedule of upcoming Sundays as we kind of shift at this time of year. Today, of course, is our annual flower communion. If you brought a flower, you're welcome to place it there anytime during the service or wait till the end for the ritual as well. It's our last two Sunday service, and then next week we switch to our summer service of our schedule with one service only at 10 a.m. through Labor Day. And then the following Sunday, June 1st, after that service is a recognition for seniors with cake and coffee, and then our annual meeting with updates from me and board leadership, electing leaders for the coming year and sharing goals as well. So that's our annual meeting on Sunday, June 1st. So see more in your order of service, read your e-news, you'll stay up to date. I invite you now to just take a breath of gratitude for this time together. As we gather with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Just a moment, our opening hymn, Morning is Broken, will call us back in the gray hymnal, but before that, I invite you to rise and body your spirit as we sing. Oh, and greet those around you first, before we sing.
Our chalice lighting words, which you will hear purposefully a few times today to let them settle into your soul, are from Alice Walker in honor of the Pride and Flower Communion. And Lucy Evans is lighting our chalice. The chalice words. The purpose of this flower is to bloom, rebellious, living, against the elemental crush, a song of color, blooming for deserving eyes, blooming gloriously for itself. Revolutionary petunia. And so this congregation may bloom and continue its mission. The ushers will they will receive the offertory gift.
Simplicity. The world laughs in flowers, and today's story reflects how just one little thing can make a change and make something beautiful. Miss Rumphius, written and illustrated by Barbara Cooney. The lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. Blue and purple and rose-colored flowers grow all around her. The lupine lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived by the sea. Her grandfather worked in a shop at the bottom of their house. He was an artist. He carved figureheads for ships. He painted pictures too. And when he was very busy, Alice helped put in the skies. In the evenings, Alice would sit with her grandfather and listen to his stories of faraway places. She dreamed of going to faraway places too, and living by the sea. "That is all well and good," said her grandfather, "but you must do a third thing. Do something to make the world more beautiful." Alice, frankly, had no idea what that might be, but she promised her grandfather that she would try. And pretty soon, Alice was all grown up. She set out to do all three things she told her grandfather. She moved to a city far from the sea. She worked in a library and read of amazing faraway places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Sometimes she would walk to the conservatory in the middle of the park to smell the sweet jasmine and feel the heat. This is almost like a tropical island, she thought, but not quite. So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island. She walked along the beach and picked up beautiful shells. She made friends. One even gave her a hand-painted shell. "You will always be in my heart," said Miss Rumphius. Miss Alice Rumphius continued her journeys. She climbed tall mountains and hiked through jungles. She saw lions and kangaroos in their natural homes, and everywhere she made friends she would carry in her heart. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it's time for me to find a home by the sea." And it was. So she did. And from the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up over the water. She made a little garden. She watched the sun set. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy, but there was one thing she had to do. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." But what? Now, the next spring, Miss Rumphius was not well. Her back was bothering her, and she spent most of her days in bed. She could see the flowers she had planted in her little garden growing out of the stony ground. "I wish I could plant more seeds this summer," but she was not able to. Another winter passed, and Miss Rumphius was finally feeling much better, so she set off on a walk across the stony landscape, across a hill she hadn't been over in a year. "I don't believe my eyes," she said, for on the other side of the hill, flowers were growing. The winds and the birds must have helped spread the seeds. Well, Miss Rumphius hurried away and sent off for a bushel of lupine seeds. And that summer, she walked with seeds in her pocket, sprinkling them as she walked. Now, some people called her that crazy old lady, but they didn't know. They didn't know until the next spring when lupines were growing everywhere, all across the town and the country. Blue and purple and rose-colored blossoms grew. She had done the third thing. Miss Alice Rumphius is very old now, and no one calls her crazy. She is now known as the Lupine Lady, and she tells us great stories of her adventures. "When I grow up," I tell her, "I will live in a faraway place and come home to live by the sea." "That is all well and good," Miss Rumphius says, "but you must do a third thing." "What is it?" I ask. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful." But I do not know yet what that might be. As Austin plays the children's benediction, I invite children up through second grade to come down for an activity.
you to take a deep breath. And breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, above you the sky, beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light. Holding you in this moment, you yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named and known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and love, God and Gaia of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. There is no one set path we're on. These whiplash days of heat and then cold, or of stories or of moments that take us from great joy to great sorrow and back again, and every possible feeling in between. Help us remember the many peoples and stories, the many identities and struggles and triumphs within our own lives and those that go unnoticed. Not just the bright blooms on the surface, but the roots stretching deeper than we know, and the need to be about creating a ground, soil, earth beneath us, with enough nurture for all of us to grow and bloom. We hold in our heart this day all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For the names spoken and unspoken, may we be held in love and grace. We are grateful for all those who help hold us together, and we are glad to celebrate with Dessa and Sam Sampson their new baby born this week, Imogen, and we celebrate with them. We hold all those who are finding their way in these days through uncertainty and sometimes fear, who are finding coalitions and circles of love and care. We're grateful for all those who were able to gather, even if a little frigid yesterday, for Rochester Pride, and for all of these circles of care and celebration that affirm all of who we are and who we are becoming. In honor of Pride and this flower communion, these words again are from Alice Walker. I invite you to bring to mind those moments or places or people in your own life or the stories you are holding right now that these words might bring color and life to. The purpose of this flower is to bloom, rebellious, living, against the elemental crush, a song of color, blooming for deserving eyes, blooming gloriously for itself, revolutionary petunia. May it be so. Amen.
Love poem, Where Nature is Non-Binary and Uses They-Them Pronouns, by Kelly Russell Ogden. Because there is a man who likes to trample over what's blooming, he thinks nature is a woman, mother, something to serve him, tomatoes, or a bucket of apples, something to build his parking lot on, something to cut down. But look at the fig tree, sturdy and in cahoots with the mosquitoes to make sweetness. Look at the river where the sky wades in, the pink petals resting the rocks. Daffodils, snowberries, lavender, blackberries, they stitch together a blossoming flag, a quiet resistance. Once in the deep of a forest, a friend asked, "Who decided straight was more natural? It seems more natural to bend, overflow, expand." Spotted hyenas, chimera butterflies, clownfish, Australian cuttlefish, the marsh harrier. They are the lush of the evergreens, lavender's indistinct rose, doubling weed, and the cluster of daisies spouting from the cement. They are the strength of the snail, softness of the wolf's tongue, the magnificence of the mosaic, my friend said as she held my hand, both of us watching the sunset collapse. Look at the ocean, the otters on the beach, and tell me now, what is not to love? The beauty of being more, the beauty of being multitudes.
It started with a whack and then a scrape. These days, when you hear sounds like that, you don't know if it's the beginning of the apocalypse or not. As I sat in my heathen minister office on one of those gloriously warm spring days before these depressingly cold spring days, it was the blooms and the branches of the lilac tree in the church's front rain garden, as if it was demanding that I pay attention to beauty just banging up against my office window in the wind. I have not reported it yet to maintenance because the 1960s window, I believe, will be just fine. But also, I kind of love the obnoxious beauty of that tree. The whapping against the window, the flinging of petals into the wind all over the ground everywhere, most of which are gone now this week. But it was a swirl of color and fragrance, flamboyant and joyful, like a blossoming flag, proud, colorful, and alive. Look at the fig tree, sturdy and in cahoots with the mosquitoes to make sweetness, writes the poet. Look at the river where the sky wades in, the pink petals resting the rocks, daffodils, snowberries, lavender, blackberries, they stitch together a blossoming flag, a quiet resistance. Sometimes the resistance is quiet and subtle. Sometimes it snaps against these structures that sometimes protect and sometimes constrain the rigidities that we create or that have been created for us or around us, where something beautiful and growing is just outside those borders saying, hey, over here, beauty. Nature has much to teach us to break through the borders and the barriers that often constrain us. Some of those with green thumbs or just good knowledge of nature know these things better than I. But make sure that you know it was in church that you heard, nature is super, super queer. Even in the simple example of flowers and trees and plants, so many of them are intersex, sometimes called bisexual or hermaphroditic plants, and I would say it's used in a way that I mentioned last week, being literally made in the image of gods and goddesses, divine. Some botanists refer to them as perfect plants. Just remember that. In nature, trans is perfect. They have both male and female organs, stamens and pistils, different kinds of self-pollinating plants, some in the same flower, each with different nuances and names: roses, lilies, tomatoes, mangoes, daffodils, and petunias, as in the nature of this flower is to bloom. Rebellious, revolutionary petunia, wrote Alice Walker. Even some ginkgo trees, some of the most ancient, these living fossil trees, have been found to change their sex during their lifetimes. They can't be defined by gender at all until they're at least 20 years old. And red maples are known to change their sex as well. And one study found striped maples, when a branch that was male was cut off and then preserved, some would then bloom as female when transplanted. Nature is super queer. And how beautifully resistant it is to our narrow definitions and what we've been told by institutions like this in the realm of religion and others of what is natural. Queer and trans is natural. It exists everywhere, except often in our rigid species minds. And they're ancient. These living fossils which survived multiple extinctions, resilient, non-binary, and beautiful. Fluidity, gender expansiveness is sacredly natural, so it helps us ask, how are we breaking up the rigidity of our days? Banging on the windows and the structures with a defiant beauty, like at Pride this weekend in Rochester, or at this bouquet of diversity, where we had to really search. I know some of you had to really search to find some bloom to bring today. Not quite ready, a little hidden. How are we showing up? Like the cluster of weeds sometimes that spring up where you least expect it. Those things that sometimes we think of as weeds, and some are, but so often we have flipped the script in society where the things that are invasive, life-choking things, are often the ones that are told as good, like security, like militarism, like wealth, like power, like consumerism, like individualism, or earning your own way, or making it on your own, these self-choking, life-choking lies. But the persistence of some beautiful natural things, and some of them labeled as weeds in an industrialized world, where dandelions find their way in subversive ways, spiraling in the wind and sprouting from concrete, the pristine, sanitized imagery we are offered of nature, of identities, is so often saturated with poison for the body and soul, for air and soil of which we are made. Sometimes the most natural things take a lot of hard work to make the world more beautiful, says Miss Rumphius. To protect, to maintain, to celebrate, to be in right relationship, the flourishing of all of us. Any organic farmer in the industry knows that keeping things natural is not easy. Any queer person or pride organizer knows that being authentic is not easy. And yet the fig tree is in cahoots with the mosquitoes, and the petals are resting on the rocks. Who are you in cahoots with right now? To make the world a little sweeter, to raise a flag, a voice of both joy and stubborn resistance, a declaration to believe in and act on the beauty of being more, the beauty of being multitudes. That's the truth of the natural world, is being multitudes. The flower communion itself is a Unitarian ritual and celebration. It began on June 4th, 1923, by the Reverend Norbert Čapek in Prague for his congregation of almost 3,000 Unitarians. Čapek, who had been raised as a Catholic and ordained as a Baptist before becoming a Unitarian, a spiritual path that many of you have traveled similar ways to find yourself here, sought all his life to live as if his soul were free, as if spiritual freedom were as urgent a human need as intellectual and social and political freedom, intersecting. He was accused of heresy and subversion and tried for treason twice by the Nazis. And in each case, the major evidence against him was taken from his own sermons. His own words from Sunday services read against him in court, and in 1942, he was deported to the concentration camp at Dachau, where he died. In 1940, the Reverend Maya Čapek, Norbert's wife, came to the United States and brought the flower communion to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which spread like wildflowers among Unitarian Universalist congregations. A colleague recently shared an article from the Christian Register in 1942 highlighting this then brand new ritual to the denomination. They wrote, "The flower communion is for all, young and old, for uniting families. Some bring flowers in the memory of a beloved dead or of experiences cherished. Some now far away in the armed services. Some brought flowers for Dr. Čapek, now no longer ministering to his people in Prague, but somewhere in Nazi hands, a symbol of prisoners' hope and faith. It comes in the Christian year at Pentecost," they wrote, "the day when the Holy Spirit was among the people in a universal fellowship, and we are in a time where we need, of all nations and kindred, a fellowship in whose name we shall sheathe the sword and learn once more the ways of peace." These words from 1942 are not old and still needed. And the flower communion was very simple. People were asked to bring a flower from their own gardens or from the roadside or the pasture on the last Sunday before summer. And when they arrived at church, vases stood waiting to receive their flowers. And offering these flowers signified that it was by their own free will that they joined in community, bringing whatever glorious blooming gifts they could. And today we celebrate that communal bouquet, this garden of wildflowers that we create together, and also from Trader Joe's. But this garden of people with varying skills and gifts, varying beliefs and spiritualities, a rich and diversified soil, which over and over proves to be vibrant and beautiful and flourishing.
In the poem, Thanks to Flowers, Kate Farrell writes, "Not only the cultivated ones in parks and gardens, unfolding immaculate petals on a terrace or a trellis, and not just the wild ones kissed by elegant birds in the jungle forest, or brightening roadsides and meadows, blossoming anywhere that anything can blossom. But thanks also to flowers blooming in paintings, on carpets, pottery, pieces of dresses and draperies, or whatever and wherever the real and invented colors and shapes of the flowers lift the mood of the scene, as they are snipped from bushes, gathered in cordless bunches, tied in ribbons, or arranged in rare bouquets in precious vases. Perfect by nature for gift and centerpiece, they perfume ballrooms, backyards, and prairies, and indoors or out the window, they gladden celebrations and refresh every country and season, for even in the iciest winter. The word flower thrives in every language, adorning what everyone says and imagines with the beautiful thought of flowers, which teach by timeless example that life goes by anyway. You might as well flower."
So as is our tradition, our staff will come forward and offer a blessing of gratitude and a flower for you. Yay. Perfect timing. Good. Welcome.
For those who share your time, talent, or treasure to this church, or to the wider community for a more loving and just world, this flower is for you.
For our volunteer teachers and helpers in youth group, for the adults and youth who are learning and sharing the stories of our faith, past, present, and future, this flower is for you.
For those who have provided music, playing as featured musicians, singing in our choirs, as a congregation giving voice to our values, this flower is for you.
For all those who added their voice and heart to making music on Sundays and for special events, this flower is for you.
I'm back. I should have been holding her for this one. For our children and families, those who have learned and played and created in the playroom or volunteered for Chalice Camp, or offered a reassuring smile to young lives finding a home among us, this flower is for you.
For those who showed up for justice. For those who showed up for justice in learning, in advocacy, in sharing resources, in volunteering, this flower is for you. Yes.
For those of you who have helped care for our building and grounds, those who have helped with tech and volunteering for events, and for all of you who have turned in your annual reports. This flower is for you.
For those who have offered care and hospitality with cards and calls and meals delivered or served Tupper suppers, for those who have helped greet and usher and welcome, this flower is for you.
For those who have enjoyed coffee and donuts and helped clean and care for our space inside and out, this flower is for you.
For those who have signed their name to join this church, or those who have helped with the memorial service, or donated to the auction or the pledge drive, who have said yes in large and small ways to attend to these days of difficulty with a good and glad spirit. For those who love this church, or at least willing to give it a try, or those who believe in the goodness of this world, especially when all seems to question it. And that we can count on you to be part of this community to lift our spirits. This flower is for you. This service represents our liberty, wrote Chapek, and our common cause. Here in spiritual community, we are kindred by choice. And so when we go home, each is to take one flower just as it comes, without any distinction of where it came from or whom it represents. To say without regard to class and race or other distinction, we are kindred. And even though one may be disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight and everything would worthless seem, be grateful, my soul, for in this life I have lived amidst eternity. As the music plays, I invite you to come forward as you're able and take a flower, place one if you still have one, or take a flower to bring with you, reminding us that we share beauty together. Please come forward. Here amidst eternity, may we notice the beauty of the world and in gratitude bring it with us, making the world more beautiful wherever we go. The closing hymn is 207, Earth Was Given as a Garden. Alternate suggested lyrics are from Sons and Daughters to Growing Kindred. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude, or raise your flower to the sky. Alice Walker writes, "The purpose of this flower is to bloom, rebellious, living, against the elemental crush, a song of color blooming for deserving eyes, blooming gloriously for itself. Revolutionary petunia." May it be so. And amen.